The following is a live sports event featuring the Abernathy Antelopes or Lady Lopes. This broadcast is a presentation of the Abernathy Sports Network and may not be altered or used in its entirety without the written consent from the Abernathy Sports Network. Today's broadcast is made possible by the fine supporters: MC Master Roofing and Construction, South Plains Auto Ranch, Clark Riley Insurance, April Funeral Home and Flower Shop, First Baptist Church, JC's Refrigeration, Storm Guard, Plains Land Bank, Nutrient Ag Solutions, the Junkin Farmers Market, MZJ Variety Shop, Shallowater, Rooted Revival Hair Salon, Chance Rocha, Edward Jones Financial Advisor, Code 3 Soda Shop and Meat Market, Lasso Electric, Webb Vision Center, Hill Vet, WTX Diesel, West Texas Brick and Stone, Rural Roots Medical Clinic, the Farmers Cooperative Compress, First State Bank, DB Media, Ty Horsford Realtor. Again, thank you for tuning in tonight's live sports event. It will begin shortly.
And good evening, Abernathy, Texas, and good evening, fans of the Abernathy Antelopes and Lady Lopes. After a week off, it is time for Outside the Box, our 15th episode of Season 2. Glad you're with us. Ty Horsford alongside Chance Rocha. And Chance, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving and ate too much turkey and dressing and all the things that go with it, and I hope everyone out there did as well. But it's good to be kind of back in the reins, even though this week has been kind of off the rails. It feels like a little bit kind of crazy, but glad to be getting back in the rhythm of all things normal, I guess, if you can say that.
All things normal, good Thanksgiving, got to see family, ate too much food, like you said, too much pumpkin pie, but enjoyed it. Weather was actually decent.
It was.
Chilly, but I know you were traveling on the road back and forth, so glad you made home safe. But also, it's funny, you get back, you're like, all right, got to get back. School starts, and then it's like, all right, no school on Wednesday.
I know, 100%, 100%. We'll get into that, for sure. But absolutely. And then I'm leaving town again on Friday, and so it's just.
Oh, he has to leave town for the football.
I can't act like it's a burden by any stretch.
Big
but
blessing. It's exciting.
Maybe we'll get into some of that talk at the end of the program tonight. But let's jump into a look around Abernathy ISD again. We're gonna have a little bit of a shorter show tonight, probably. Obviously, everybody kind of taking a few days off, well-deserved days off over the Thanksgiving break, and so not a ton going on, but do have some exciting things to talk about, Chance. It was a big day on our elementary school campus today, actually, as Abernathy Elementary hosted the district UIL competition for elementary. Actually, the middle school will be hosting the UIL for middle school district tomorrow. But that meant no school on the elementary campus today. And all of the town schools from our district came to Abernathy and competed in UIL, Chance, and it was a good day. I talked to Miss Fullingham in Watt a little bit ago, and she said it was a great day. Everything ran really well, really smooth. She was just really proud of how we led and how we hosted. Lots of people involved in that. From a results standpoint, Abernathy finishes third out of the 6 teams in our district. It was New Home kind of running away from the competition, if you will. 676.5 points for New Home. And then you had Floydada in second. Floydada, hey, you know what? After the football season they had, they deserved it. 426.5. They finished second place. Right behind them, Abernathy at 414. And then Abernathy considerably ahead of New Deal, who was in fourth. Tahoka fifth, and then Post rounding things out in sixth. But in talking about that, Chance, and this is, do it how you want. I'm not knocking New Home or anybody else. Mm-hmm. It truly is for the Abernathy students, and I think probably all the other towns and schools in our district, an extracurricular activity. These kids are going to school are going to practice after school and outside of the school day and different things. I was told today that New Home, actually, it's one of their like periods during the day, and they literally practice it every day. And so people do things different. But again, just super proud of the elementary kids and really all the teachers and staff that kind of helped today happen.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, Ty, just kudos to those kids, all the ones that competed. I know we had lots of winners. I know we mentioned it'd be hard to list everybody off, but congrats to all those kiddos that either won an event, placed in an event, and helped our team kind of finish third. And it's a commitment. It gets those kids ready for some of those extracurricular things, staying after or going up there early or doing it in one of your whatever win time or whatever it is, you go during the school period or whatever. But I know a lot of them, it is after school. So it's an extra commitment that they have. And, speaking of my son in general, he did not want to do UIL because he was like, I don't want to stay after school now.
100%. No, I get it. Yeah.
And he has said, because I know at certain grades they start adding other things, and there's things math-wise that he wants to do. And so we'll see if he ends up trying to go out on that limb. But, and then, like you said, just to host the event, kudos to our staff, to the admin, to the teachers. That's a huge commitment for them to go out there and not sacrifice a day, but commit to having all those other students that you don't know running in and out of the school, other, representatives from the school, kind of making sure we're containing them. And so I know that's a big job for the.
You have to have a hospitality room, a concession stand. You've got to serve lunch.
Yeah.
There's all the things that they go into that. And but prime example, I was talking to my daughter Parker today. She competed in storytelling, which is one of the speaking events. And I was just asking her about it. And she said, yeah, it was just like me and a judge that I didn't know in a room. And I was doing this presentation, and I was like, that's really a good, regardless of, she didn't place, but so what? It was a good experience for her.
Thing, yeah.
And that was the first time she's really done anything like that.
For sure. And just to be able to see I do like this, or I don't like this, or I know what to expect next year, those kind of things for sure. And then also, talking about the staff and everybody, I know that they have maybe middle schoolers, and I know they have a lot of high schoolers. So just those students, they're able to volunteer to come do the things that we teach them to do of being servants and coming over there and helping the elementary staff. And I know they had students that were available from freshmen all the way to seniors that were coming over from the high school to help out. And so that was just cool that you see that the whole campus comes together to be able to do something like this. And they're going to get to do it again tomorrow, I think.
Yep. The elementary goes back to school tomorrow. Tomorrow, the junior high gets the day off from school, except for those that'll be competing, obviously, in UIL, which is probably the majority of middle school students in some capacity. But so keep an eye out for that. We'll let you know how the middle school UIL turned out next week on our show. And if you want to see the results, like event by event, you can go to the elementary school's Facebook page, and there's a link that you can mull over that if that is something that interests you.
For sure.
Just a quick thing of note, Chance, and this directly affects you and me. And luckily, Mr. Hill had kind of given me a heads up about this. But Abernathy ISD is beginning to require media credentials for anyone that will be covering any of our home athletic events. And so any athletic event that is on our campus, you will not be allowed to take pictures, video, TV coverage, radio coverage, what we do without media credentials. And that's just an effort to kind of streamline things so you know who's doing what. Yep. They've got a kind of a code of conduct or ethics that they want everybody to follow. And that's kind of the goal behind it. Right. And honestly, there are other schools that do it. And I think it's just one of those things in this day and age. You just kind of have to do. You've got to know who's covering your kids, who's videoing your kids, talking about your kids, taking pictures of your kids, all of that. And really, the school's got to keep tabs on that.
For sure. And I think it's just a way to make sure that, like you said, not so much like a vetting process, just being able to know, like, hey, do you have your badge? Have you been approved? Have you talked to administrators? And that's just the administrative staff, Mr. Hill, all of them trying to protect our students and do what's best for them, making sure all the parents are happy in all those situations. And then, two, just making sure that there is even protection for the people like us.
100% that are doing
we're approved. We're doing everything right. So if we get questioned on anything, we can kind of share those credentials as well. But I think it's something that, like you said, in the digital world that we live in now, with all the things, whether it's social media or broadcasting a football game and things that are out there, I think it's just a way for the school to make sure that everything is streamlined. And I know a lot bigger schools do it, but with us and kind of the things that we do and the support that we have in our community, I think it's something that's smart that you want to have something like that in place for sure.
And for what it's worth, Chance, I requested your credential today. So as long as we get approved, then we will be on the air when basketball district season rolls around. Which, oh my goodness, we'll talk about that here in a minute. But my goodness. Moving on, Chance, Abernathy High School. Every week we're talking about kids excelling in ag programs and FFA. You and I were talking FFA Creed and all that before we went on the air tonight. But Abernathy High School is sending their FFA public relations team to state this year, and a bunch of underclassmen on that team, which even makes it more impressive. You've got Jesse Chisholm along with Kellen Hart, Briley Byers, and Scotland Bickle that are all members of that team, and they're headed to state. And I think when you think of FFA, Chance, a lot of people think of the showing livestock and things, which is a huge part of it. But you have these leadership contests, speaking contests, and food challenge contests, and all the different things that our students can participate in. So it's kind of a neat thing.
I think it is, and I think it's just the fact that we talk about it, opportunity, and all these kids are given the ability to compete in all of these contests, and just being able to, excuse me, and being able to do that, like you said, as freshmen all the way up to seniors, but then just being able to see them succeed in it. And so you just know that our program has been run very well. They're committed to it, and just kudos to the ag and the FFA teachers and coaches, whatever you want to call them, because I know that with all the different events, there's a lot of different things that go into to prep those kids. And just like we talked about with UIL, they put a lot of extra effort into it. So kudos to them. Congrats to them on going to state, and hopefully they can come back with a victory.
Well, there's no better ag program in this area than the one we have here in Abernathy.
That's right.
I mean, it has long been widely respected for sure, and so they continue to do a great job. And Chance, more state qualifiers as the Abernathy twirling line, as I think they were actually competing the day of our last show, and we just did not know results yet.
100% on the results.
And but the line is a team advancing for state, and then Chance with their solo routines, Daphne Moore, Stella Allred, and Shay Mulcock, all state qualifiers as well.
Yeah, so congrats to them, and they'll get to go and compete at state, and again, hopefully they'll be able to bring home maybe some hardware.
Absolutely.
And then Ty, kind of staying with the cheer and the twirling and all that kind of stuff. They're not going to competition yet officially, but the Abernathy High School Cheer Squad, they do have a prep event that is coming up this Sunday. It's the LCU Game Day Rally. The LCU cheer staff, coaching, whatever, they host it, kind of to get them to prepare to what it's going to be like at a competition when they do go, because that's coming up right around the corner. I think that's the second or third week in January. And so it just gets those girls ready, and it's the whole squad. There was varsity and JV cheerleaders, but both the squads are merged together to compete in the competition. And so it'll be a good kind of prep for them to get ready and see what actual competition going to is like. And I know my daughter being in that, they've been practicing 2 or 3 times a week to get ready for that. And so I know that's exciting for them to kind of get that started and then see what critiques they got to make so they can kind of get ready for their UIL contest.
Absolutely. And then Chance, last but not least, get your little Lopes signed up for all the things, as you're about out of time to sign them up for junior basketball. Do that by Friday, the last day of sign-ups for Abernathy junior basketball. Again, those sign-ups have been going on and are wrapping up. And then Little League Baseball sign-ups are underway.
Already?
And they, I know both of you and I both have an interest in that. Obviously, we're on the board for that, but those signups are now open, and they'll be open for a few weeks. But go ahead and get your kiddos signed up for that. Chance, I've already had a text. having to explain that Little League age chart to people. And I said, really don't feel bad. You have to have like a master's degree to understand this. And it's taken me years of whatever to figure it out. But you get your kiddos signed up. And if you have questions, let us know. We will be glad to answer it. But yeah, we always have a lot of kids. Almost 300 the last couple of years sign up and play Little League, so that'll be a good time.
For sure. We're averaging just about 275 between there and 300 the past few years, Ty. Like you talked about, it seems early, but it comes quick and in a hurry. And with that many kids, it's a lot of logistics. And so we try to get them in early so we can get uniforms ordered, hats ordered, everything situated, coaches, and all that fun stuff. So not just registration for kiddos, registration for coaches too. And then, like you mentioned, that age chart, it's different for boys and girls. But I will say kudos to the Maxwell's, Allie Maxwell. She puts all the information in there. She does a great job. And if you have wondered or if you're stressed out about it, then what pops up for your kids' age group, it's in there, and they will be correct. And if you do have questions once you get there, there should be only one option, maybe two at the most. But if you do have questions, never hesitate to reach out to the Facebook page, to me or Ty, or to anybody else on the board.
Yeah, it's Abernathy Junior Basketball on Facebook, Abernathy Little League on Facebook. You can find all registration information for both of those there for your convenience, Chance. And so that's kind of a quick look around AISD. We said there's not a lot going on, but then when you kind of get into it, there's you got your fair share of things going on. But we will go ahead and turn our attention to sports, which is mainly on the hardwood right now, as unfortunately football season has come to an end, and we are in a full throttle with basketball again. Kind of our sub-varsity teams not quite as busy over the break as our varsity teams were. Seventh grade girls and seventh grade boys both took on Jayton Monday, I believe. And the seventh grade girls victorious over the Lady Jays, while the seventh grade boys lost to Jayton this week, Chance. And then on the boys side, I thought this was kind of funny. They have the flex game now where it's kind of a mix of seventh and eighth graders. Well, I guess Jayton doesn't have that. And so they broke up the Abernathy 7th and 8th graders, made two teams, and they played against each other. And I saw a picture of Coach White and Coach Faith coaching those two respective flex teams. And it looked like they were coaching harder than they have ever coached in their life against each other. But anyways, a good showing by the 7th grade basketball teams. On the JV girls side, Chance, they actually were supposed to play alongside the varsity girls in Clarendon last night, but they had that game canceled due to a conflict. And then the JV boys were in action last night, and they defeated Whit Harrell here at home 56-14.
Yeah, and everybody's kind of getting back in the swing of things. And then the varsity boys, they've been playing pretty well too, Ty. And I know we talked about it. Those varsity girls, man, they're
turning heads.
They're turning heads, but it's funny. They're not getting some respect, Ty.
It'll come if they keep winning.
It's kind of upsetting me, and I think that's probably what Coach Zapata's telling those girls, like, hey, you keep winning.
It don't even matter.
That's all that matters. But they competed in the Slayton tournament over the break, and they went 3-1, Ty. They beat up on Stratford. They beat up on Whiteface. They beat Trinity, and then they lose to Seminole.
Well, and it's a situation, Chance, where Stratford, they were ranked in the top 15 at the time.
Whiteface was 10.
You beat them by 21. You beat a 10th-ranked Whiteface team by a dozen. Trinity, they're always a private school power. Yep. You beat them handedly 53-36. And then, you get beat 80-53 to Seminole. But Seminole's the 11th-ranked 4A team in the state. And so they did what they should do.
Yeah. And I think they moved up to, even since we've played them. But Seminole's a perennial power in 4A, and to go out there and put up 53 points on them, that says a lot too. And then you end up, also the girls come up and they beat Littlefield. It was a close game, but they come away with the win.
And Littlefield's got a good team this year.
They do. And they beat Lorenzo, that's a smaller 1A school, and you kind of handed it to them big time. But I think the biggest one, Ty, was going on the road last night. You go on the road. That's a long drive all the way to Clarendon.
To a legit 10th-ranked Clarendon team. And that's a 10th-ranked team that's in your classification.
Yeah, in your classification. And it was close early on, but they ended up pulling away with it and you win 56-48. But that's a team that you're probably going to see in the playoffs.
Very well could.
Depending on how the big school, small school.
Very well could. You might see them this weekend.
you might. When we look at the bracket, I was looking at that too. But I think that's something that we talked about this in football. Like in football, you kind of have your districts in a region that are perennial powers. Basketball, I don't know what it is about girls basketball. This area is just...
It's a power.
And it's not just our... 2A, it's 2A. 3A,
it's all of it.
4A.
Monterey had the best player in the nation last year.
Yeah, and they won state, and that was a big deal because they got upset by Coronado this past week. But I think when you look at it from there, that you're kind of being prepped for what you're going to see, but also knowing just to get out of the region is going to be tough. Mm-hmm. And so, but kudos to those girls. They're battling. They still have a young squad, too. And so I'm excited to see them. I'm excited to start covering them. And Ty, the varsity boys, they've kind of got rolling a little bit. They did hit a snag last night, but they got a couple wins under their belt. Yeah,
the girls are 8-3, and the boys are 2-1 on their young season. They had an impressive 71-40 win to open the year against Littlefield. They beat Lorenzo pretty handedly, which is typically a pretty solid 1A boys program, 53-37. A chance they dropped their home opener last night as they took on, and this one surprised me a little bit, Whit Harrell, who is a top 10 team in the state in Class 1A, but you fall short 66-58. So that's probably a huge road win for Whit Harrell, beating the 11th ranked 2A team in the state, the Abernathy Antelopes, by 8 last night. But again, these early season games, they're going to make you better playing quality competition. And Chance, both of the varsity teams are in the Nazareth tournament starting tomorrow. And a chance, I have not seen a boys bracket for the Naz tournament, but as you would expect, the girls bracket is absolutely loaded.
Yeah.
And obviously Nazareth, one of the premier girls basketball programs in the state, so you would expect them to attract quality competition, but you've got Abernathy, you've got Nazareth, you've got Clarendon, you've got Panhandle, you've got Shallow Water, you've got Canadian, as I think the Lady Lopes actually open with Canadian tomorrow.
Hereford, Henrietta, text line. And I think, Ty, like you said, for Nazareth to be a small school, but that they're a basketball power. You're not going to Canyon, you're going to play in a fancy gym. You're going to go to Nazareth, it's going to be a small town. But these teams going...
There are going to be lots of banners on the wall, I can promise you that.
Stars everywhere, but you're going and you're going to have to compete. And that's why you see the Shallow Waters and the Canadians, some of those bigger schools going to these tournaments. One, it's close, but two, the level of competition that they're going to play. And so they can get them prepped. But you mentioned it. The girls, they open with Canadian. You win, you're likely going to face... it looks like...
You might play Naz, right?
Nazareth or Tulia. So you're going to play the...
Probably Nazareth.
Yep. And so the loser would play the loser of the Shallow Water and Clarendon game. So you could end up playing one of them again. And then you're going to end up playing the winner of that game down the road because they're going to get a bye. But that's going to be a tough gauntlet. But like I said, I just love the fact that schedule that they have out there is going to get them prepped for the season because I know it's going to be a gauntlet of a district as well.
And so that's kind of a quick look, Chance. Not a whole lot going on in the sports world other than basketball. I know here before too long you're going to be talking tennis and golf and track and baseball and softball and all the things that the spring semester will bring. But for now, it is full throttle basketball season for the Antelopes and Lady Lopes, and our broadcasts, Chance, actually will come your way starting hopefully next week as the Lady Lopes on Tuesday.
No, 2 weeks.
Not next week. It'd be 2 weeks. Yeah, not next week, but the next week. They will be opening district play with New Home, which will obviously probably be the game of the district right off the bat, as Abernathy, I believe, goes on the road to start it off in New Home. And we've got to figure out some technology things with New Home, and hopefully we'll be able to start our broadcasts 2 weeks from yesterday and with that New Home game.
Yeah, hopefully we will. And I mean, at worst, maybe we can at least do audio. I know that was probably the biggest thing last year, but hopefully reaching out to them early, we can figure out if we can either hardwire plug in or do something. But that's definitely a game that's going to be a good one. So we want to make sure we bring it, both boys and girls. And so, like you said, in 2 weeks we'll start that. And then I believe they play.
It's just the girls in 2 weeks, though, right?
It's just the girls for both the first two games. They play New Home Tuesday in 2 weeks, and then Friday
New Deal.
they host New Deal at home on that Friday. So, and that's kind of going to change up our weekly schedule as well. We'll be Wednesdays. Next Wednesday will be our last one, and then we'll go into whenever the home game is, whether it's Tuesday or Friday.
We'll figure that out, yeah.
But we'll kind of get that situated and set up just because logistics-wise it makes the most sense for sure. But I'm excited. I think both of our girls aren't getting the respect they deserve, but I think they're going to start to get it. And, hopefully our boys kind of continue to hold up to that 11th ranking, and we'll see what happens. I know they dropped that game to Wood Herald, but I think they got a lot of growing to do. They got some boys that are back this year that they didn't have last year, so that's going to make a big of a difference for sure. So.
Awesome, Chance. Well, that kind of brings a wrap up to the end of some of that. Is obviously you and I both Red Raider junkies, and I know a lot of our viewers and listeners are as well. Obviously, a big next few weeks coming up for the Red Raiders on the football field. They're playing for their first ever Big 12 championship on Saturday as they're taking on those Fighting Cougars of BYU, looking for a 2-game season sweep of the Cougars and trying to get that first ever Big 12 title chance. But it's funny, I was talking to my brother about this earlier. Like, it's been such a long time coming for Texas Tech to play for a Big 12 championship. But you feel like there's bigger fish to fry. This team, it feels weird because I feel like in years past, if you were playing for a Big 12 championship, you'd be like, this is like it. Like, we're playing for a conference title, and obviously that is super important and could be something you've never done before. But you're sitting there as the number 4 ranked team in the playoff rankings, and Chance, you've got a legitimate chance to compete for a national championship.
You do, and I think you're on the short list of 4 or 5 teams. I mean, I think everybody has the Red Raiders up there as a team. Like, you don't want to face them. And, everybody probably has Ohio State 1, Indiana, and then everybody's been saying the Red Raiders and maybe in Georgia. I mean, those are the 4 teams.
I mean, you're literally being mentioned with the Georgias and Alabamas and Ohio States.
For sure.
And guess what? You're better than Texas.
and there's a shot that A&M had the hiccup, but
they're still a good football team.
They are, but they were exposed a little bit against a Texas team that put some pressure on them defensively, and you kind of had Marcel Reed could have had his Heisman coming out party against Texas. Instead, he basically fell off the list of those people. And speaking of Heisman's, not sure if he'll get the call. I think he deserves it. I think if you're looking at it from a stats and just an overall player, not sure if he deserves to win it, but I think he deserves a seat at the table.
100%.
And that's Jacob Rodriguez.
And it's hard for a defensive guy to even get invited. So that'd be a huge feat in and of itself.
But when you look, there really hasn't been a guy outside of Ohio State's quarterback, Sayin and then Mendoza from Iowa. I think those are 2 that probably are the 2 favorites. And guess what? They're going to play in the Big Ten championship this weekend. And everybody's saying whoever wins that game is probably going to win the Heisman. I think the 2 outsiders looking in are going to be Pavia, but his season could possibly be over because they probably aren't going to make the playoff. Vanderbilt's quarterback, he's made a huge case for it. And then you got Jordan Love from Notre Dame, which he's a great player, but again, they're kind of on the outside. They're on the outside looking in too. So I think when you look at it, it's like, how can you got Rodriguez, his team's playing for a championship. Mendoza and Sayin, teams are playing for. I think those 3 guys are ones that deserve. If you have a 4th one, throw one of those other guys in. But I think that, someone mentioned it today with Rodriguez. He got listed as a Walter Camp finalist too, and they said they better not put him on all these other lists.
And leave him off the Heisman.
Because, he's a finalist for 5 awards. One's for just player of the year, and the rest of them are all defensive, and he's probably going to win 3 of those 5 easily. But the thing is, Ty, we talked about this 2 weeks ago. You're competing for the Big 12 championship. Exciting. You have a shot at probably getting a bye and having a good shot to win the national title. That's exciting. But I think what makes me more excited is you have a coach like Joey McGuire that's like, I'm not going anywhere. You sign a 7-year extension. You just had the number 1 recruiting class in the Big 12 on signing day today. And so you're just getting the ball rolling, which sounds crazy.
Oh, I mean, I don't think this is a one-year wonder at all. I mean, not to say that you're going to be in the top 4 every single year,
right.
But I think you're going to, because not even the Georgias and Alabamas and Ohio States are in the top 4 every year.
Right.
But you're going to start year in and year out, I think, competing with some of those programs for spots in the playoff and for seats at the table. And Chance, what I look at too, who knows what's going to happen with all this conference alignment mess. I mean, we've kind of settled in right now. We've got your 4 Power 5 conferences. Yeah. I don't think that's done changing. I don't know when or how, but when you look at like some mega conferences being formed and potentially some of these Power 5 teams being left out of these major conferences, I think if nothing else, Texas Tech is positioning themselves to be sure that they have a seat at the table for years and years to come.
Well, and I think you can't argue with it just because the fact that not just McGuire, but you have the backing, the NIL, you have Cody Campbell, you have the Red Raider collective or whatever you want to call it. And I think that, Ty, for me, it's crazy to think that, and people can think what they want, your Texas, your A&Ms, your Alabama, all these places. Guess what? They were playing football games 50 years before Tech was even a university. Mm-hmm. So you should be where you're at because you had a 50-year head start. A lot of places are, celebrating their 150 year or whatever it may be, and you had a head start on us, to say the least. And when you have the backing and you have the people and you have the coach who said, I'm going to die here. I mean, he said that today. But when you mentioned like realignments and all the things, like it was funny to hear him say, he goes, we don't necessarily want to go to the SEC. McGuire, they interviewed him on the Pat McAfee show, and he's like, we want to be the leader for the Big 12. Like, that's our goal right now. Because, hey, guess what? Y'all didn't want us before.
Now, there may be a time that is the best move for Tech. And if it is,
it's about
so
money.
Be it.
And that's really what it's about. But if they do that, they're going to have to change it because they're whining right now about the way it's set up. Well, guess what? If you're worried about who's going to the championship and all these things, then you need to have a full-fledged commissioner in the Big 12 or in NCAA. You need to change signing day. And McGuire said something super probably made a lot of people upset, but with all the coaches leaving. And he said, the way the system's set up, it's not the coach's fault. They're getting recruited. The system needs to be set up differently. Like, you can't have signing day in the middle of the playoffs.
And I think it's ridiculous. And again, I don't know that you can, to his point, I don't know that you can blame the coaches, but I think it's absolutely, and don't get me wrong, I am not a Lane Kiffin fan.
Right.
I think he is a whatever, out for whatever, and I don't want him to be my coach.
Right.
However, he has earned the right to coach Ole Miss for a national championship.
For sure.
And here he is. He's been through this entire season with his team. They're number 5 or 6 or whatever they are in the poll right now. They're going to be in the college football playoff.
Most likely, yep.
And he's off to Baton Rouge.
Yeah, he's recruiting for LSU. But I get LSU wanting him to be there, and I totally understand that.
But again, there needs to be fundamental changes so that those things don't happen.
Well, and I'm not sure if you saw it, but what Joey McGuire said today was kind of like, wow, that's a big deal. When he mentioned it, he said, if a coach leaves and makes that choice like Lane Kiffin did, then the rule should be, hey, any of your players that played for you, they can enter the transfer portal, but they're not allowed to go to your team.
Right.
And he said, or you make a sanction and say, hey, if you leave your playoff team in the middle of that to go to another job, guess what? Your team you're going to is automatically disqualified from the playoffs next year. So, like, that there's a situation to where you're being penalized for, yes, he earned that right, but that's a choice you have to make. You either finish what you started or you're going to jump to the middle. But I think the whole overall looking thing is you either move everything up or you move everything back. You either got to move all the games up or you got to move all the National Signing Day and kind of not like the NFL, but structure it to where you're not having all this mess right in the middle of the season. But it's about making money. Guess what? More eyes are on it. More people are looking at it.
Yep.
But there is, I like the fact that it's funny when it's SEC, the situation when it's a bigger conference. But you didn't see Oklahoma State and North Texas being like, nope, you can't do that. Eric Morris is getting a coach. He's getting to have that opportunity. Are they going to make the playoff? Maybe, maybe not.
They could.
If they beat Tulane, they should be in based on the numbers. Mm-hmm. Tulane's the same way. their coach is leaving too to go to Florida. He's getting to coach his squad. And so it's just certain things that are super interesting. And I think that I'm curious to see what happens with A&M, with Klein leaving to go to Kansas State. And so is he going to stay and play?
Lots of questions, yeah.
And so, but, they're going to have to fix it. Something's going to have to happen. But I think the ever-changing landscape of college football is very, very intriguing. And it's going to have to – I'm just glad we're in the positions we're in as Tech fans, but more so for the Lubbock community. I mean, I think that's exciting for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you've got a guy in Joey McGuire that wants to be here. Obviously, I think we're in – obviously anything can happen. I think you're in a situation where your coaching staffs across all of your major sports, you've got quality people that want to be doing the job they're doing, and they don't really have aspirations to go anywhere else. You've got a Joey McGuire. You've got a Grant McCaslin, which I think he's where he wants to be. You could even say the same about like a Krista Gerlich. I think she's where she wants to be, and they're having some success this year.
They are.
And so I hope she can continue to improve that program, because you hate to see somebody like that struggle. And then you've got your guys, even in some of your non-revenue sports, like a Wes Kitley, which is probably the best track coach ever to coach track. And
he's got a top 5 program year in and year out.
And he's going to be here till he calls it quits. And you've got guys, 100%, yeah.
And one that we didn't talk about that was your elite team for the longest
Tadlock
time is Tadlock, which he did have a lifetime contract. They did just amend that, but I think that's knowing that he's closer to on his way out than he is. But he's still committed
you're just protecting. I mean, obviously, which I never thought I would say, out of any program that you could say, and I'm not saying they're going to continue this trend, but that is trending in the wrong direction, it's probably your baseball program. Yeah. And there for several years, they were you were a baseball school. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying they won't and can't get back there. I mean, look at our softball team. In a matter of 2 years, some things happened, and here you are. Your softball team's number 1 in the nation. My gosh, what a day to be a Red Raider.
I mean, I think that, like I said, it's exciting whether you're a Tech fan or not. I think it's just exciting for the community to know, like, hey, the Texas Tech Red Raiders are putting Lubbock, Texas on the map, and that's important for West Texas and everybody as a whole. And it's exciting for our kids to be able to go do that. And I think it's cool for hometown kids to be excited about, man, I want to go play right 100%. In my backyard, because that's something that you probably don't see a lot of. And to know that, hey, they could do it and maybe put a little money in their pocket too, because the support from the Red Raider Club and all the collectives. So.
Yep. Well, and I will say this, and then we can wrap it up for today. I'm not a huge fan of the state of college athletics right now. I think it's broke and it probably needs to be fixed. However,
2 paces out of the tube.
I will say there is not a school in the country that has navigated the change better than Texas Tech.
Yeah.
And for rightfully so, because there's so many similarities between the two. You take like a Texas Tech and you take an Oklahoma State. Mm-hmm. Those are 2 identical athletic programs. Hitting the new wave of college athletics, one went this way and one went this way. You had one that embraced change and one that didn't. And right now, that's why Oklahoma State's where they're at, and it's why Texas Tech's where they're at. Now, does Eric Morris change that in Stillwater? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But
it wasn't just football though, too.
No, 100%. I mean, it was in all sports. Yeah, but 100%.
It's you have an AD who knows.
I was going to say Kirby Hocutt deserves a ton of credit.
President Shovanek, Hocutt, Giovanetti, all the guys that are in there behind, and then obviously Mahomes and Cody Campbell. I mean, who better?
It doesn't hurt to have those guys in your corner.
For sure. And I think those are just some names, but there's a lot of other big donors out there that probably don't get recognized as much. But I think the thing that Cody Campbell does is, he's putting his money where his mouth is. He's not just writing checks, though. He is doing what he needs to do to make sure that he is trying to protect.
He's invested.
Well, protect the athletics program, how college athletics is working, and the things that are coming down the pipeline. He was way ahead of that.
He doesn't like where college athletics are right now. He's on a mission to change it.
Right.
But for where it's at right now today, you've got to keep up.
Yep. Well, you got to keep up, and I think that knowing that, okay, when it does start to shift to there's more nuances that have to protect the players and the coaches and the universities. How do we have that in place so we're ahead of the curve, just like we were this past time? And I think it's all going to work out. Like I said, you just have the number one recruiting class in the Big 12, and you're probably top 10, if not top 5 in the nation. So, and that's without transfer portal stuff. And you're going to go out there and probably hit some home runs because of how our staff recruits. And so, just an exciting time for sure. Whether it's football, baseball, basketball, track, we're going to be at the Natty pretty soon, which we already were one time and came up short time.
Maybe this year. Maybe here in just a few weeks.
We shall see. But
I know I'm headed to Arlington on Friday, so
poor guy.
hoping that I'm able to witness in person that first ever Big 12 championship would be a good time for sure.
For sure. It's going to be exciting.
Well, awesome, Chance. One of these days we may have to start a Texas Tech podcast because I know you and I, we can talk all things Abernathy all day, but we can also talk all things Texas Tech and college athletics all day long too. But for now, we will wrap it up. Like you said, we'll be back next Wednesday, Chance. We'll have some more to talk about, maybe an interview or two as well. And we will see you then. Until then, good night.
God bless.
And go Lopes.